Black Keys made a hit.
What's happening, dear? Let's talk to the people real quick. Hey, what's up, good folks? And welcome to the first episode of Let's Be Frank podcast, where we will take you on our spiritual and financial journey.
That's right. So my name is Afi Frank, and this is...
Well, my government name is Marcus Frank, but all my friends call me Slim. So don't tell nobody I told you my government name. It's Slim, okay?
So we've been married for 10 years, been together for 15.
Lord.
And throughout that duration of time, everything that we have ever desired, wanted, talked about, dreamed about is financial freedom. And so this is really about our financial journey and the ups, the downs, the do's, the don'ts, a lot of our mistakes that we've made, a lot of the great things that we've been able to accomplish together. We're also going to talk about, how a man deals with finances, how a woman deals with finances, how a man sees money and how a woman sees money, right? And all of that encompasses our journey and kind of how we've gotten to where we are today.
Oh, that's pretty good, dear. So let me ask you though. So you bring up, you want to talk about, money and how it impacted our marriage, right? So if we take it a step further than that, with you being a female and obviously me being a male, like what do you think drove your ability to handle or not handle money as a little girl?
So yeah, I definitely was going to take it back to my experience as a young girl growing up from Philadelphia originally. My parents were married, both of them worked, I would say we probably had a middle class income. And a lot of my experience growing up wasn't, I didn't not think that I had money. It was always something that I was able to, if I asked for something, my mom was like, okay, there you go, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a bad experience growing up with money, which I'm sure kind of led me to my experience that I had and how I am now. But I do know, in marrying someone, you come from two different backgrounds, two different worlds, and you got to bring that together. And that's kind of where we are and what we want to talk about with you guys. So what was your experience, love, growing up with that's money and finances?
Right. And so, we would always hear, when we're marrying someone, you're marrying everything that comes along with them. So so for me, when I first met Afi, we always had a difference in how we perceive not only money, but a host of topics, right? But I think my upbringing with money, which kind of like led to a lot of arguments, I think initially when we first started dating was like, I was always taught that we didn't have it, right? And so it was kind of like, how do I take, what I know to be true as a little kid and morph this into this relationship with this woman, right? Mm-hmm. And so over the years, obviously, I had to learn how to kind of pull back, maybe make an adjustment, maybe stop thinking so along the lines of everything is so tightened in a box versus kind of living a little bit. So my message from growing up was always, hey, you don't have it. If you have it, you got to hold on to it. And so I think as time went on, which kind of led us to this particular journey of wanting to pay off our debt is, let's put both our heads together, right? And just figure out how we want to, live and thrive as a couple.
So one thing I wanted to point to your attention, you probably see our shirts, right? It says paid off mortgage. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how we got to that point and what led us to get to be able to pay off our mortgage. And there's a lot of things that have happened to be able to do that. And we're grateful and we're blessed. The journey has not ended. We're still on the journey, right? But we definitely want to get you up to speed and kind of how we got to that point. So without further ado, I know you have some things that you want us to talk about and kind of where we want to start. I know you wanted to bring up some other statistical information, right? And so I think that's really important to kind of throw into this conversation.
Yeah, and so it's funny. Like I know you probably can see the backdrop. This is a newly made kitchen. It has taken us years to get here. And so a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing back and forth. So this was not easy. So I'm sure we'll have some episodes down the line. We're going to give you the spiel about the contractors, the contractor wars, right? And what led us to kind of being into this 3 years still trying to pay for a remodel, right? And so, but before we get there, to kind of answer your question, so, I'm huge on stats. And so just complete transparency, if we can be frank with you, right? I'm sure you guys have seen a ton of podcasts out there. So, and in my opinion, a lot of them are not as put together, well put together as they should be. So I'm somebody who likes to be well informed, researched. My wife's just a freestyler. She does a great job of doing that. So I am going to read some stats. So I don't know if he was trying to be sarcastic.
I wasn't. I was just saying, read this.
Okay. I didn't know what you were saying because watch this here. Watch this here, y'all. I'm gonna pull my notes out. I got my notes with me.
I have notes too. I ain't worried about it.
So you just answered the question, okay? And we want full transparency. So before we start, I just want you to understand like what our purpose in doing this, right? So obviously we want to connect you, the guys who are watching this, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully we can grow this channel. But we want you to tune in. We want you to be as open and honest about where you currently stand in your own financial journeys, right? We want you, like I said, we want you to be honest. We want you to know the basics of money management, right? And so as we kind of go through some of our pitfalls, just kind of think about, where you may be struggling right now financially. Do you have a $200,000 vehicle out in the driveway, right? But if it breaks down, you can't afford to pay for it, right? So think about all that. How are you currently spending your money as we walk you through this journey, right? And so I think you kind of touched on this, babe, before, but before I ask you again, I'm gonna kind of read this thing that I thought was very interesting, right? So it says, financial behavior is rooted in childhood and influenced by family, age, financial experiences, religion, culture, social gender, and other factors that make it confusing, intimidating, and challenging to address, right? So as you hear that at home, right, and right here, my beautiful wife, what does that mean? What does that mean to you? Like, think about that first, like, who introduced you to the concept of money? Like, what is your relationship with money?
So I can actually recall, I probably was maybe 13 or 14. I grew up, I danced as a young girl, went to dance class, and I needed, different attire and things like that. And so I remember, asking my mom, who, by the way, was an educator, had a second job, right? Again, doing all that she could to make sure that myself and my sibling, my brother, had, a good life, in my opinion. And so I remember asking, hey, I need I think it was some tights or some ballet shoes or something like that, right? And she was just like, not again, because you went through a lot of them, as you continue to rehearse and then you had to perform. And so it was never, no, I don't have that, or no, I can't get that for you. It was always, okay, it was almost like it was a routine of, okay, this is what you need, this is what I gotta do. Now, again, like I said, my mom was an educator, she worked, during the day, and then at night she went to her night job, and that was normal for me, right? And so a lot of those values and things that I experienced then from her, putting in, blood, sweat, and tears, and not saying my dad didn't work either, because he had a full-time job too, but I think that experience made me say, okay, well, we got it. Like, it's not, you need something, you go and you work for it and you get it. It wasn't ever, we ain't got it, because I think probably if she said that to me, I'm like, well, you go to work every day, why you don't have it, right? So that probably would have been my response. So that was my experience. And as I continued on throughout my younger years and then into my early adulthood, I remember being in college, and y'all remember this, right? When they would have the credit card tables outside for you to sign up, right? Who doesn't remember that?
Yeah,
maybe I'm dating myself a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that was also one of my first experiences with finances and money, where I was like, oh, well, my mom had a credit card, you just paid a bill. And I'm gonna tell y'all, and we'll get into this a little bit too. And I know I'm touching on a couple topics here, but credit cards. Just how do you manage your credit card? Well, anyway, back then I had a credit card. I had a balance. I had a limit that I could use, and I literally used that limit often. Right? I met my limit very often, not realizing how that affected my financial, journey or my financial, standing when it comes to wanting a loan or buying a car and things like that. So again, we'll get into some of that, but that's my first experience.
That's really good. So you kind of brought up a few things for me too. So I remember having the same feeling of, hey, you know what? I'm gonna fill out this this form so I can get a T-shirt and get this credit card, right? I had no idea how I was going to use that credit card. Mm-hmm. All I knew was, hey, at the end of the day, it's free money. I can swipe. There was not a class at my university. Maybe you guys had these classes where they kind of broke down the basics of financial literacy. We didn't have that at my HBCU, okay? And so one of the things that I ran into very, very quickly was when I actually charged something, I got the bill, I was like, what is this they're sending me? I didn't know what is 175, right? But I didn't know, hey, that's money that I had to pay back, right? Nobody told me that. So you imagine this little kid from the South, right? I'm growing up, mom's already told me, hey, boy, we ain't got no money. You ain't got no money. You had, hold on to your $5. So all these messages in my mind. So when I get this bill, I done ran this credit card over a t-shirt and a Snickers bar. I will never forget that, right? It taught me a valuable lesson. So that was, it was times when I had to, I still felt like I was trying to uncover why am I who I am today because of money. And it's because of those type of experiences that kind of shaped and warped my way of thinking, you know what I mean? So a lot of distortions around how I thought I should be managing money when I had no idea what that concept meant. Yeah.
All right, so what else we got? What other topics we got?
Well, let's see. I don't want to give away too much of the goal right now, but I think if more of a comment, I want to walk away feeling like I am really planting seeds. This whole podcast is about planting seeds for people. Like, hey, we hear all the time, you guys are inspiring us. How did you pay your mortgage off? So I just want to be careful not to make it seem as if this was easy, because by no means it was. And so I think this intro is more about, hey, we're two normal people, two different backgrounds, two different walks of life. And so, but we made it, you know what I mean? And so it's going to take a lot of teamwork, a lot of dedication, and be willing to have those arguments, you know what I mean? Arguing is healthy, you know what I mean? I think it's negatively stigmatized that you're not going to argue, or it's bad to argue in a marriage, and that is so not the case.
Not the case, because y'all gonna see us argue on here.
You know what I mean?
You're gonna see the arguments,
oh my gosh,
right? You're gonna see the disputes, right? You're gonna see the differences of opinions, and I think that's what's also very important, is that we have very different opinions. However, we've been able to figure out how to get to the same ultimate goal and reach the goal. And I think that is what we had to learn and respect about each other.
Right.
And that took a lot of work, right? And so we don't want to necessarily make this about relationships and marriage. However, you can't exclude that either, right? Because that is what we are. We are a married couple who got to this place. Right. And we did it because we are married. Right. And so you can't exclude the fact that we're in relationship with each other and how we see things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that also. I know, my ladies are out there going, may have some negative comments about what I may say about us as women and how we look at money and how we, maybe not always are looking at it from the lens of a man. But I will tell you that, it took me some years to be able to get to this point. And, I'm gonna throw this out there on the first one, right? I will tell you that a lot of our mishaps were because of my, not willingness to want to get to where he was trying to get us to.
Girl, I could kiss you in your mouth right now, girl.
I just want to put that out there. Maybe that'll help you, see kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit. I think it's important for us to own up to our stuff and where we, our shortcomings. All of us, everybody, right? But I think a lot of my perspectives of money was, because, like I mentioned before, you had a job, you go to work, you pay for it. That's how I looked at money, which has led into my marriage. And why don't you look at it the same way? Why don't you see it the same way?
So what you mean by that is, I work hard every day. I earn this paycheck. I should be able to do what I want to do. Is that what you mean? Oh, okay. Well, you spitting facts right now. Come on then. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, that is going to conclude our introduction, right? And so I will say this too, like this is very different for me. So I am a dancer, entertainer, by trade, right? So this talking and looking in front of a camera, this is nervous. I'm nervous, but this has been cool. I think my wife has kind of made it a lot easier for me. She's making it conversational. So I'm interested to take this ride with you guys. Please, let's get on this journey, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you, guys. Bye.